Katt Williams just dropped a bombshell about Prince and his untimely death. Katt is straight up saying that the Illuminati had their eyes on Prince and that his death wasn't just some freak accident. According to Katt, Prince was targeted, and it wasn't just by random haters. Those who targeted him were the same ones who don't want to hear conversations about the dark side of the music industry and all the power dynamics which run behind the scenes. It's ridiculous to which lengths some are willing to go to maintain control, and Prince wanted to show that to the entire world. Katt knew that, and that's why he always was, and still is, very vocal when he speaks about Prince. But at the same time, Prince's outspoken nature and battle for ownership was what put a target on his back. Let's call it as it is. Prince was exposing the music industry, and right after he got control of his masters, he passed away. That's some heavy talk, and it's got us all thinking. Was his death just a tragic accident, or was it something much darker?
Yeah, he was like unlike anybody in the world. He was just an amazing individual. I was able to meet him when I was 12, and I knew him my entire life.
Katt says it's no coincidence. Prince wasn't just taken by an accidental overdose. There were forces at work that didn't want him to win, and Katt feels that on a personal level. You can see Katt's pain when he talks about Prince. He's emotional. You can tell this isn't just another interview moment. Katt has said Prince was a guiding force in his life, someone who instilled confidence and resilience in him.
I met Prince when I was 12.
Where did you meet Prince when you were 12?
In Dayton. After
Really?
he performed at UD Arena. Yeah, I mean, I knew him my whole life. He was like the guiding force for me. It's the reason I had high self-esteem was because of him.
When Katt talks about how the music industry treated Prince, it's clear he feels a deep sense of injustice. This wasn't just about a man who passed. It's about a system that silenced a revolutionary. But who was Prince, and why did his story end in such a tragic way? Prince's story isn't just about music. It's about rebellion, legacy, and the cost of speaking out. He wasn't just out here dropping hits. He was tearing down the industry's playbook. From his legendary tracks to his fight for independence, Prince was a man on a mission. His journey from a talented kid to a global icon is straight up legendary. Purple Rain wasn't just an album, it was a cultural reset. It made him a superstar, but it also put him on a collision course with the industry. See, Prince wasn't just about making music, he wanted full control of it. But the industry wasn't having none of that. Things hit a boiling point in the early 90s during his feud with Warner Brothers Records. Prince wanted ownership of his masters, the rights to his own music, but Warner Brothers shut it down, treating him more like a product than an artist. And Prince wasn't about to stay quiet. In 1993, he pulled one of the boldest moves ever. He showed up in public with the word "slave" written across his face, a clear message about how he felt trapped by his contract. If that wasn't enough, he even changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol. The media had to call him the artist formerly known as Prince. It wasn't just for show. This was Prince exposing the ugly side of the music industry. He once said, "Warner Brothers took my name, trademarked it, and used it to market my music. They owned the name Prince. I became just a pawn." For him, it was never about the money. It was about respect, ownership, and fighting for artists' rights.
The reason why it became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me.
The public sees the word $20 million an album. Well,
let's see. Do you all think that's a good deal?
Prince was a trailblazer, but his fight came with consequences. And if you believe what Katt Williams is saying, those consequences might have been bigger than any of us realized. Prince used to say, "If you don't own your masters, your master owns you." He knew how the game worked. Record labels love trapping artists in contracts that strip away their creative rights. Basically, they turn artists into cash cows while keeping all the control. The problem stems from the fact that the artist and the record labels do not work together. Labels shouldn't own the music. It's about intellectual property. Even FedEx doesn't claim ownership of the packages they deliver. But his honesty wasn't just for show. It was a call for change. He wanted a fair system, but the industry wasn't about to let go of its power that easily. And here's the thing, Prince wasn't alone in this fight. Other legends like Michael Jackson and George Michael also put the industry on blast. Michael called record execs devils and accused them of exploiting artists. George Michael even described his Sony contract as professional slavery. They were all fighting the same system, one built on control, where independence was seen as a threat.
Effectively, you sign a piece of paper at the beginning of your career, and you're expected to live with that decision, good or bad, for the rest of your professional life.
But Prince wasn't just talking about change. He was out here making moves. While some artists settled or backed down, Prince went full force. He started his own record labels, dropped music on his own terms, and encouraged others to take control of their careers. He wasn't just trying to win for himself. He was setting the blueprint for everyone else. Now, let's be real. Pushing back on an industry that thrives on exploitation doesn't come without risks. Prince even said it himself. The music industry isn't run by musicians. It's run by accountants and lawyers. They're not looking for real talent. They're looking for what's going to make them the most money. He called out how the industry thrives on gimmicks and doesn't appreciate real artistry. And when you challenge a system like that, you're bound to make enemies. And Prince's fight wasn't just against Warner Brothers. It was against an entire system that didn't want to see artists have power. His refusal to play by their rules made him a target, and fans still believe that this battle came at a cost. But Prince didn't let the pressure stop him. In 2014, he made one of his biggest wins. He got the rights to his entire music catalog, but his victory was short-lived. This is where the story takes a dark and messy turn. Just 2 years after finally regaining control over his catalog, Prince was found unresponsive in an elevator at his Paisley Park estate. The official reports ruled it as an accidental fentanyl overdose. But let's be real, this raised a lot of eyebrows. Fans couldn't wrap their heads around how someone like Prince, who was famously careful about his health and lifestyle, could fall victim to such a tragic accident. People were quick to point out the eerie coincidences, especially since Prince was smack in the middle of securing his independence from the industry. To make things even messier, after his death, the legal drama over his estate kicked off, with one of the biggest controversies being Jay-Z's Tidal streaming deal. Before he passed, Prince had publicly praised Tidal for being artist-friendly, but after his death, it turned into a whole battle for control over his music catalog. Like, the drama wasn't just about the money. It was about protecting the legacy of an artist who spent his life fighting for independence. Now, this is where things get even wilder. Katt Williams came out with some explosive claims. Katt suggested that Prince's fight for autonomy made him a target in the industry. According to him, Prince refusing to bow down to the system, one that thrives on exploiting and controlling artists, might have ruffled the feathers of some powerful people at the top. And the parallels Katt draws between Prince and Michael Jackson are kind of chilling. Michael, like Prince, fought hard to regain control of his masters and openly called out the industry for its corruption and exploitation. And just like Prince, Michael faced backlash and scrutiny leading up to his tragic end in 2009. Katt's allegations suggest that both artists' battles for independence weren't just personal fights. They were battles against an industry that doesn't take kindly to losing control. So was Prince's death just a tragic accident, or was there something more sinister at play? The more you dig into it, the more questions you have. Katt's allegations have set the internet ablaze, sparking fresh conversations about how outspoken artists often meet eerily tragic ends. He questions the official narrative surrounding Prince's death, pointing out a pattern we've seen before with legends like Whitney Houston and George Michael. But what takes Katt's claims to a whole new level of intrigue are the clues fans and insiders have uncovered over the years. For starters, the official explanation for Prince's passing has always felt off to many. Let's not forget, Prince was famously health conscious. He didn't drink, stayed away from illegal substances, and followed a strict vegetarian lifestyle. So when reports claimed he died from an accidental fentanyl overdose, people were hella confused. Then came the discovery that the pills found with Prince weren't even legit. They were counterfeit and laced with fentanyl. These weren't prescribed, and their origin is still a giant question mark. That fueled whispers about whether his death was really an accident or if something more sinister could have been at play. Fans have also pointed to interviews where Prince openly spoke about the darker side of the music industry, often hinting that powerful forces work against artists who refuse to play by the rules. Many believe Prince knew he was being targeted, and his sudden passing only confirmed their suspicions. What's even wilder is that other artists have chimed in, dropping their own cryptic messages. Kanye West, for example, has repeatedly called out the industry's dark side. He's even mentioned Prince and Michael Jackson in the same breath, suggesting a connection between their struggles and untimely deaths. At one point, Kanye said, "If I was on medication, one pill could have been swapped, and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again." That comment left fans shook, wondering if Prince's fate was sealed the moment he reclaimed control of his masters.
At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out, and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again.
And let's not overlook what happened after Prince's death. Without a will, his estate became a battleground, with family members, lawyers, and corporations all fighting for a piece of the pie. The battle over his music catalog, in particular, proved just how valuable his work remains. Posthumous releases and reissues have raked in millions, introducing Prince's genius to new generations, but also underscoring a harsh truth. The music industry often profits more from artists after they're gone. Sadly, Prince isn't alone in this. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Tupac Shakur are just a few examples of stars whose estates have generated massive profits after their sudden deaths. Fans can't help but wonder, how much of this money actually honors their legacies versus lining corporate pockets? Even Michael Jackson once said it himself, "The way they get revenge is by trying to destroy my album. Tommy Mottola is a devil." He went on to reveal shocking claims about the industry's dark side, including stories from Mariah Carey, who called her ex-husband Tommy a horrible man and said he tapped her phones.
It's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists. Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very devilish.
Prince's legacy as a symbol of resistance is undeniable, but it leaves us with so much to think about. What do you guys believe? Did his battle for freedom ultimately lead to his tragic end, or was it all just a coincidence? Let's talk about it in the comments.